Hello, hello. Hi, I'm Dr. Sandi Eveleth, your eye care marketing OD. I'm a certified master marketer, a certified digital business consultant, and I love helping eye care providers maximize their profits with premium specialty patients and innovative marketing strategies. And guys, I am so excited to be introducing this amazing young man, OB Malope, and he is a young, dynamic leader within the healthcare industry who has championed and pioneered various innovative products and solutions in optometry. Wait till you hear what he's done. He has a vast experience working as an optometry consultant over a 13-year period. You don't look old enough to be doing that, OB. With roles varying from optometrist to sales and business owner. He's commonly known as a speaker, author, and strategist within the field of optometry. In 2018, he received the Young Optometrist of the Year award. Wow, for his incredible work in adding value to the industry. Currently, OB is CEO of Vision Straight, and I'm going to drop all the links in the comments after the show's over. Now, Vision Straight is a business management and service consulting company that ensures all three aspects of optometry function cohesively with each other, and you're going to tell us more about what those are. Alongside Dr. Daryl Glover, he co-founded Africa Media. Exciting. OB is also the managing director of Activate, which is a brand design company. You're doing a lot, my friend. You can connect with OB on his personal website, and I'll be running that along the banner. It's www.obmalope.com. And of course, please do subscribe to his YouTube channel. All of that information is on his website, and all the work that he does can easily be found on LinkedIn. This is how we met. We met through Dr. Daryl Glover, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So, OB, you have accomplished so much for our profession and have had a tremendous impact on so many aspects that optometrists can build their own brands and businesses. So I have to ask you, tell us more about all of these things that you do, your projects. Feel free to discuss any and all of them. So feel free to please take it away.
Good day, Dr. Sandi. I'm actually a very shy person, so being introduced like that, it has never actually happened before, because whenever people try to introduce me, I'm always quick to just say, you know what, just refer to me as Obi. But to be interviewed by such an extraordinary human being and leader like yourself, it is an absolute honor and a privilege. And so thank you very much for affording me this opportunity for us to talk about optometry from the context or the perspective of what's happening in Africa. Well, I've been in the industry for the last 13 years. And the reason why I do what I do is very simple. In my first year optometry school, I attended a conference, a South African Optometric Association conference. And shockingly, to my surprise, there wasn't a single student at the conference except my friend and colleague or my classmate that we attended the conference with. And when we were at the conference, everyone was speaking about clinical aspects of optometry, and everyone was talking about the academic aspects of optometry. And I kept on asking questions about who's talking about marketing, who's talking about sales, who's talking about staff development, who's talking about all these other attributes to the practice. And no one could give me an answer. They used to tell me that, no, this is a conference focusing on academia or the clinical aspects. And so the journey of my entrepreneurial side of things started as early as first year, whereby I decided that, you know what, when I actually read this at that particular conference on a notepad, it said, when someone thinks of your industry, what will make them think about you? Mm-hmm. And that stood with me at that time. And I asked myself, I'm not as clinically orientated as my classmates. I'm not as academically tuned in as the rest of my classmates. But one thing that I do know I'm very good at is lighting up the room, igniting a fire in people, bringing that energy within the environments that I'm in. And I decided I'm going to create a company that will do exactly that. I will go into optometric practices. I will go into academic institutions. I will go to clinical environments, and I will be able to look at where they are as businesses, organizations, institutions, versus where they can and should be. So the whole idea behind Vision Straight was for me to create a platform, a template, a resource platform, if I can put it that way, that will serve as something that people can have access to in order to them to see that, you know what, I need to take my business to a whole nother level. How do I go about doing that? And so that's the whole idea behind what Vision Straight simply does.
So it's a library of all kinds of courses to teach people how to improve their practices. Now, you say you're a shy guy. You are a humble leader. You're a servant leader. It is so obvious every time when because we kind of chat over there on LinkedIn, one of our favorite platforms, and the stuff that I think the way that I found you was Daryl had commented or liked one of your posts, and I see these amazing images that you put up there, and the way that you write your text. It's obvious you're an advanced copywriter. I absolutely love how you write. I can feel it. That's the whole idea about copywriting, is to be able to feel what you're saying. And even though you're shy, it's the energy is absolutely bounding out of you, and I appreciate that. That is a very major impact that you make on us. You make us really excited about the profession, and you do that every time you post on LinkedIn. That's how I feel. So in case no one said that to you, you're absolutely doing a great job in what you described as when someone said, how do you stand out? The fact that you write brand strategist underneath your name, that's precisely what you're doing. You found your why, during that course where they're not teaching anything about practice management. I'm amazed. At my school, they had a half or one semester of it, and it was barely touching the surface. So I had the same why as you. I found out very quickly, opening my own private practice, that you have to learn how to put yourself out there and learn how to brand yourself. So tell me some more about that. The title brand strategist. How do you work with clients? How do you get them to be able to not mimic somebody else, but actually put themselves out there, get them to show their excitement for the profession and attract more patients? So give us a little bit about that information. And again, any other projects that we've listed.
Thank you very much for the feedback. I really appreciate it. It means a lot coming from you. And thank you very much for the question. Earlier on in my career, Dr. Sandi, I worked for an optometry group that had various optometry practices throughout the country. So South Africa has 9 provinces, and I was the traveling optometrist for this particular group. They had at the time, they had 110 optometric practices, and I was traveling between 40 of those practices.
Wow.
And the question that, so I didn't have a home. I was not married at the time. I didn't have a home. I would live in different places throughout the year. And one thing that stood out for me at the time was that the company had a set of rules, standard operating procedures in terms of how do they need to do things. But this is South Africa. South Africa has got 11 different languages. And every single town or city, the people in those towns and cities speak different languages. And I used to argue a lot with the people in charge of the group to say, you are this company, you are trying to apply the same rules in rural areas, in upmarket urban areas, in small towns, in cities. The way you do business cannot operate like that. You need to change your business model to be able to be flexible enough to operate within different components or areas in the country. And it was a back and forth all the time. So I created this model, the business leadership model, where it's got 6 different programs within it. It's got a sales component, a marketing component, a performance analytics component, business development component, and a strategic advisory component. So with brand advisory, we then go and we said optometry has got these 3 components. It's got the academic, the clinical, and the business side. For an optometry practice to operate at the highest level of excellence, revenue growth, and excellence, all 3 need to work together at the same time. There has to be a cohesive relationship between them. So a lot of optometry practices, like you said it in optometry school, we're not taught the business aspect of things, so we created that as a company to say, let's create a system that shows the transition between the academic, the clinical, and the business side. And still, people were still not accepting that a young man, a young boy can be able to produce this work, because I don't have a master's, I don't have a PhD, or I'm not a doctor. I'm simply just an optometrist. But the amount of traveling around that I did allowed me to create that capacity that I needed. But no one was taking me seriously. So I took it a step further. I left the group, and then I spent 2 years working free of charge for what I deemed to be the top 100 practices in South Africa. So I went to the top contact lens company, the top pediatric company, the top low vision practice, and I spent close to about 2 to 3 months working for free in these particular practices. And all I was doing was answering the question, what makes the ideal optometric practice? And I realized that it revolved around 5 things: the people, the purpose, your why, the people, the profit, the products, as well as the processes. And so everything that I do stemmed from creating resources that people can easily access and implement the information within it. And hence the books.
Yeah.
So for us to build credibility, I realized that no one knows me. No one can identify with what I was trying to do. And the first book, all the information that I've just told you now, we put it into the first book, A Business Guide for Optometrists. It's a 30-minute read, but you pick it up every single day, because all we did in this particular book was to put thought-provoking concepts, ideas that people can start thinking about. And so the whole thing about business, brand development, brand strategists was, I then researched all the cultures in South Africa. I took it a step further. I researched all the cultures, or majority of cultures in Africa. And then I took a step further to say, what happens in Eastern Europe? What happens in America? What happens in South America? What happens in Australia? And I started connecting with people in those countries so that I can learn more about the cultures, the languages, the different aspects of optometry within those countries. And that's how, over the years, I started then building this business that focused purely on, if I go to an optometric practice, we give them an assessment, and that assessment, they sort of like complete this assessment that sort of like gives them a clear understanding or a picture of where they are as a business. And then we come up with our recommendations after meeting the team, sitting with the team in person or via online platforms to discuss what the way forward is. So in certain practices, I'll give you a practical example. The one gentleman was located in the central parts of Johannesburg. Predominantly, the people that are in the central parts of Johannesburg in South Africa were Black African people that were working in those areas. And he was a Caucasian with 30 years experience within optometry. And I said to him, what language are you speaking with your patient? Who else in your business is employed in a senior role who looks like the people that you're providing services to?
Sure.
So after the assessment, we did not introduce fancy strategies that he needs to implement. We only introduced one. I said to him, or my team and I said to him, you're doing everything right. You're empathetic, you've got compassion, you've got all these amazing things. The one thing that lacks is that you're not speaking the language of the people that you are serving. And he then took it upon himself to go and to go and learn Sesotho, which was the language that was being spoken predominantly by the patients that he was serving. And what did that do? All of a sudden, those patients that have been coming to him for the last 5 to 10 years, he starts greeting them in the language of their choice. He starts conducting the eye exam in the language that the people that he's serving are speaking. And people started talking about the impact that this optometrist, this white optometrist in a predominantly Black area, is speaking the language that they are speaking. And it changed his business like this. People were coming from different parts of the country just to come and see this optometrist. So that's my work about brand.
Well, right. And let's, as the phrase goes, let's unpack. You brought up so many important things. Number one, you're brilliant. You know, your humility that you keep showing is, well, I wasn't that good academic. Well, I wasn't. No, because you were forward thinking. How can I incorporate business sense into all of these optometrists. And, and of course, that in our country, an optometrist is a doctor. It's just, that's a phrase and things we throw around. You do have the level of doctorate. It just happens to be that's not what it's called in your country. But your level of intelligence, it's not just IQ, it's what we call EQ. It's emotional intelligence. There's so many optometrists that come out of school and they don't know how to run a business. We talked about that initially, foundationally, that they easily fail, and it kills the self-esteem, it kills the self-worth, because they don't know how to apply they don't know the beginnings of marketing. They don't know how to apply the importance of cash flow in a business. And what you're doing is you go from both a high level, like the overall picture of a practice, and then you dig down deep, and then you go high level, and then you go deep, which is amazing and impressive. And I did see, you did send me one of your, I call it a 1-pager, but it was like a 10-pager. It's all the services that you provide. And, just the presentation of that information was amazing. I get into the world of design, and the design level, you're at an A++ level of how you presented the information on what you provide. So I know that what you provide and the information you just told me now is at also an A++ level. This is something that needs to go to every country, to every optometrist office, whether they're in corporate or private practice, just how you conduct business. And, the fact that, because you and I know this, we see so much cookie cutter marketing in our industry, that the fact that you immediately saw the need for customization, the fact that you did what coaches and consultants recommend, is go work in the industry, roll up your sleeves. The fact that you did it for free for 2 years, the fact that you learned languages, you learned cultures, you presented languages, you presented cultures. I mean, absolutely at the foundation of liking and trusting someone is to understand the community in which you live. There are a lot of optometrists that they just go to work and come home, and they don't realize the importance of getting involved in their community. And if you're not even speaking the language or understanding the culture across races, across, everything that embodies that, absolutely, it's foundational. And the fact that you can bring this to the practices just exponentially will grow their practice. They probably don't even understand that once they've established that trust, because they're speaking the language and understand their community, they're getting tenfold the number of patients. And I'm sure they tell you this after they've worked with you. So
Absolutely.
Unpacking is, you're so much more brilliant than you ever give yourself credit for. You've got a high level of emotional intelligence. You understand people at a high level, and you empathize with them, and you know how to talk with them when you're consulting with their practices. So let me tell you, this program would do tremendously well in the American market as well. I do know the U.S. market. I'm here and across all countries for anyone that practices this profession, because they're getting to know their patients at a level that's absolutely foundational. So again, carry on, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Speaking of those services that you were mentioning, so it's as you saw, like you said, it was a 10-pager document. But I realized that in South Africa and across the country, across the continent, people require what you guys refer to it as CE. Yep. In South Africa, we refer to it as continuous professional development points. And the existing companies that were providing CPD points or CE points were, you either go to a conference and you get all your points at the conference, but it's costing a lot of money to even go to the conferences. Then there are certain lectures that happen during the week, but you go there and it's 1 point. And then there is what you call articles that you can download online and submit it. So one of the services that we render is an advanced CPD platform, which is all online, offers 3 times the amount of points that people require per year, and 80% of the content on the platform is in the form of videos. So that was a groundbreaking solution that we offered the optometrists in South Africa at the time. There's 3,200 optometric practices in South Africa, and about 2,200 optometrists are registered on our platform in a space of about 3 years. So that's a lot of people that are registered onto our platform. I was doing a lot of workshops. So prior to COVID, for about a space of 4 years, I was conducting sales training workshops, staff training workshops, and business activation workshops. And for every recording that was taking place, or for every workshop that was taking place, we were recording that content. So just before COVID, we put all of that content online. Another service was I ghostwrite for about 30 optometric practices.
Of course you do.
Their newsletters, their blogs, their articles. And I was like, no, this is a lot of content. So let me create a publication house. So hence the books. So we've got 5 books under our company. It's a business guide for optometrists, a strategic guide for optometrists, a practical guide for staff, a book on pathology, and a book on marketing, which I co-wrote with Dr. Daryl Glover. And the lovely thing about these books is that I'm not the only one writing them. We've got industry experts in those particular competencies also joining in and writing books. I'm working with an ophthalmologist right now to write a book on the posterior segment. And another service that we do as a company is, because of the work we do from a marketing aspect, we created a company called Activate. I think just this past year alone, we took over the marketing and media strategies for about 20 practices in South Africa. And that's the company that's slowly growing. I'm not involved in that company from the back end of it. I'm just in the front of it, getting the clients. But I created a team, I built a team of 4 people that are doing all that work. And for me, I'm a firm believer of invest in what you do yourself. So if I go to a conference, I'll give you a practical example. If I go to a conference, I will research all the speakers. I will find out who are the people that have already registered at the conference. I will find out which practices do they belong to, which provinces do they come from, so that when I come and stand in front of them to speak, the examples that I'll be including in my presentation will be examples that are relevant to what they are experiencing in their environments. I will call the speakers to find out, oh, I see you speaking on the same line of work that I'm talking about. I'm going to be talking about these aspects, and you are going to be talking about these aspects. I don't want to overshadow you, because I know that I'm going to bring my A game to the presentation. What are you going to be talking about, so that we're not clashing? Because I light up the room. I don't want you to feel like, wow, I came and spoke after you. Now people don't remember me. I want people to collaborate. I want people to work together. So those are some of the things that I will do, or that we do as a company. I've got a team of about 7 people that are in the back end of it, or in the background, producing a lot of content. And it's not easy, because people did not trust us in the beginning. They felt that I'm not qualified. So I went to the UK and I spent a few weeks at Professor Nicholas Rumley's practice. He had won Practice of the Year, I think it was 2015. He's got a staff complement of about 35 people in his practice. Wow. And I went there in 2017, 2018. And I said to him, if I can transform your practice, all I ask of you is to call your friends, tell your colleagues, tell your business associates what I have contributed into your practice. And prior to 2018, no one was giving us the opportunity in South Africa in terms of our business amplifier program, our business leadership program. And his business transcended tremendously after me spending time in his practice. And he picked up the phone and he started calling his colleagues. He started giving us reviews. He started telling people about how practical our business solutions are. And I came back to South Africa and doors just opened tremendously. So that's the journey that we have been through. It's not easy, but one thing that keeps us going, Sandi, or Dr. Sandi, sorry for that, is that
no, you're fine.
I'm super passionate about eye care. I'm super, super passionate about eye care. For me, when I look at eye care, it's one of the few industries where people of different backgrounds, cultures, religious beliefs can actually come together and create something magical for people in the communities that they are serving or operating in. And that's my drive. For me, is to see people work together to produce quality eye care for the communities where their practices are located in. And that's what keeps us going. So with everything that we do, it seems a lot, but I think my drive is so important to me that I'm willing to go for 2 years without an income to just make sure that optometry in my country and the rest of the world operates at the level at which it's supposed to operate at.
Well, and your energy is absolutely contagious. And, you were so brilliant to realize that collaboration was key. It allows you to do as much as you do. And then you did something that I call the Dream 100, which when you realize things weren't happening the way you wanted them to, you reached out to someone that you knew had a network of people that would help grow your business. You knew, I mean, every time, it sounds like every time you hit an obstacle, you don't sit, you don't sit around and feel sorry for yourself and feel, what am I going to do? I can't do this. You immediately find a solution. And I know that you do the same thing for your clients, which is, it's absolutely amazing. The energy comes through for sure. Your drive comes through, your passion comes through for the profession. It's exactly why I wanted to have you on the show, to show others what an impact that you're making in optometry. So tell me how we can support you. I know that, going to the website, how can we support you, to the next level, to whatever that might look like for you, future goals or whatever. What can we do to help you continue to grow and continue to make an impact on our profession as much as you do?
I thank you very much for that, Dr. Sandi. I believe that I bring a different flavor, a different energy to the industry. And one thing that I have not been able to do up until now is access to the conferences in America. I've seen that every time I follow a lot of these conferences, and I don't actually know how does one go about becoming a speaker in conferences, specifically in America. What is the protocol one needs to follow? Because I just believe that what we do here in South Africa, we have seen it work in Australia, we have seen it work in New Zealand, we have seen it work in Europe and in the UK. But for some strange reason, I'm connected to all these amazing people in America, but yet we have not gotten to actually even speak or participate in conferences in your country. And it will be something that, for me, I believe will be absolutely fantastic to be able to be part of.
Sure. And that's
one way.
Okay.
That's one way.
Okay.
The other way is collaboration. Funny enough, from a collaboration point of view, in terms of what we do here in South Africa, I found that leaders like yourselves in America are quick to collaborate with people outside of America to bring what is happening in America to other parts of the world. But funny enough, it's not the other way. It's easier for people to come to other parts of the world, but the door to actually go into America is not as simple as the door for America to come into other parts of the world, like South Africa.
Sure.
So I feel like that's where the change needs to take place, and I'm working on that, but it's slow. It's very, very slow. And I don't know how to change that. Maybe you can help in terms of direction.
Sure. Sure. We'll get, I'll get you in touch and, connect with those that run the conferences. And I know people that run some of the conferences, and, and I've heard a similar thing, even for people in the US, that sometimes it's tough to get, in there as a speaker. But I think the best thing that you're doing is what you're doing now is you keep showing up. That's the big thing. Key, again, you give more than you take. You hardly take it all. You're such a giver. And I can't stress that enough for anyone who's watching who might be in charge of a conference. You're such a good speaker. You're so passionate, getting up in front of a crowd and for them to be as excited. I've seen whether you send them testimonials of your speaking abilities. I've seen that on some of the posts that you have, some of the YouTube videos that you have. It's imperative that they see how people are actually impacted by your speaking ability. You absolutely know how to touch an audience, and you just demonstrated how much you get involved with getting to know your audience. That's sort of speaking 101. But I know so many speakers that don't take that effort. It takes work. It's a lot of work for you to get in touch with the other speakers. It's a lot of work for you to find out who is in the audience, because, and again, that's foundational. I keep saying that word, but it's foundational, because when you know who your audience is, you know how to adapt your speech to the audience. You know how to talk to them. You know how to get in their minds, how to solve their problems. Again, that's marketing 101, but I see a misstep in that so often when people are getting up there and speaking. They're speaking to the wrong crowd because they have this canned cookie cutter speech, and I know that that's not who you are. So just getting that information out. Yeah. And making those connections, and just keep talking about and keep saying, bringing that up, and I'll see certainly what I can do. And, getting on video, I think, we're doing it here today, of course, and I think you're doing it somewhat online, and just, I would, take a challenge for yourself, do video 21 days in a row or something like that, to where you're presenting, you're showing what your speaking abilities are. And, because LinkedIn shows up everywhere, and all of the social media, it doesn't matter where you live, it's going to show up. And I would just, sometimes we have to put that call to action out there. We have to be obvious. I talk about this with my clients with marketing, is you can never assume that people know what your call to action is. You know that. I know that. So Absolutely. Don't be afraid to, put that ask out there. Hey, I'm looking to come speak in the US at any of the conferences. And don't be afraid to do it over and over. Because, we think that everybody's seeing our messages every time. And again, you and I both know, I think we have to hit people 11 times before they know what our message is. So don't be afraid to just keep hitting that, and keep reaching out, connecting with some of the people on LinkedIn that run these conferences. You know how to do all that, of course, but I will.
You're absolutely right. And with everything that you do with marketing, you just made me realize something. And I guess this is a message that I'm actually saying to optometrists. Optometrists, with marketing, personalize the experience. You could be talking to 10,000 people, but you said it in the beginning you said you could feel my writing. You could feel the way I write, that it's copyright. It's me. You can see me. And that's what marketing is actually all about. You just made me realize that with everything that we do as optometrists or eye care professionals or healthcare professionals, make every patient feel like the most important patient to walk into your practice. When you do anything on social platforms, on media platforms, whatever we do as doctors, professionals, we need to make sure that our marketing is not generic. It has to feel so personal to the individual. And I think that's one thing that I've learned from you, is in the short time that I've connected with you, I feel like you're talking to me.
I am.
But I was not aware that is what I'm busy doing with other people. And so thank you for that, because now that I have an awareness of it, it makes it easier for me to then, like you just said right now, to be direct with my call to actions. Not just keep doing amazing work, but then don't put a call to action to it. So thank you for that. I actually realized that I'm sitting here with a problem that I've got the means to change.
Right. Well, and think about it, because, and I know, and you say that, but you're doing a phenomenal job. You have been doing this. You didn't learn this from me. You learned this before you ever met me, that you do because you know how to take, to learn about the audience. And the reason you learn about the audience is that you can speak to them directly. So you are at the top level of people that do personalize your information. Every time you post, you do. But it's kind of that, I joked about it earlier when we were talking offline, that the cobbler's shoes is that we don't tend to take our own advice when it comes to certain things. So when you're putting that content out, a call to action, again, I tell my clients this, a call to action can simply be, please comment below what you think of this, whatever the information was in the post. But more directly for you, hey, you've seen my work. Here's a testimonial. I would love to speak at your conference. Whom do I speak with on this? Or does anyone reading this post know of a name? Either tag them or just DM me. That's your call to action, is actually asking them, as for something specific. So now here's the other challenge, besides getting out there and doing more video, or posting videos or doing live, whatever it takes, is to make sure every time you post, have a call to action, have an ask, even if it's as simple as comment below. What did you think about this post? Or anything like that. So that's my advice.
Thank you, Doctor.
Absolutely. This has been amazing. You are an amazing human being. You know that I think so incredibly highly of you. You have made a tremendous impact on optometry. You impacted me in so many ways in how I write and how I connect. So you have done a tremendous job in that, OB. And I just, the number of things that you do on a regular basis, and please, when this goes on the post, make sure that you put all the links. I'll add some as well, but put some of the links to all of the work that you're doing, and make sure that people know what you can do for them, as you've done in this live broadcast. So, absolutely, we will reach out to you. Anything else that you can think of before I close up the show?
Thank you very much. I would love to just connect with the people on different social media platforms. Do like the website that you've been running the whole time, all the work that we do, the different companies, the impact that we're having in the industry. I'm a believer of building a content vault, a strategic vault, a marketing vault, a people vault,
absolutely,
a vault. And so that's our strong point, where when it comes to staff, working with teams, working with practices, we have literally gone out of our way to build that vault where information should be easily accessible, on the go. And if you don't have the buy-in of your teams, whatever that you're trying to do in your practices will not reach that level that it actually deserves to reach. So one thing that I want to just say to optometry practices is that in everything that you do, it's no point being this amazing hero or superstar online for all of us to see. But in your practices, your teams don't feel the same way about you that what we see, or they don't operate at the level at which you are operating or what we think you are operating. So one thing that I would like to encourage everyone is that go back to your teams. Is my team in the practice operating at the level that I think they are operating at, or at the level at which they should be operating at? And if you're struggling with that, that's reason enough to connect with us, because that's what we have built our company on, to creating systems, platforms, resources that you are able to easily take and implement within your respective practices. So that's one reason that I would say do connect with us. We love making new friends all over the world. And so thank you, Dr. Sandi, for what you have inspired me in this short period of time.
Good.
And you know what? I posted something about sending the ladder down recently. And for a person at your level to reach out to a person at my level, it's mind-boggling to me. And it taught me that what makes great leaders are those that are passing on the baton, so that those that are coming after them can be able to go further. So one thing that I'll ask of you is hold me accountable, challenge me, because we want to take this industry to greater heights. So thank you for this day. This was a complete honor, and I'm super grateful for you.
Absolutely. And you are at my level, if not ahead of me, my friend. So I always thank you for that encouragement and support. So thank you, OB. I am so grateful to have you on the show and to share your awesomeness with my community. For those of you, and you've got some fans already here, my friend. So thank you, Patience. We appreciate that. And thank you, Christy, for popping in. We really appreciate that. So for those of you that are meeting me for the first time, I'm Dr. Sandi Eveleth, the Eye Care Marketing Strategy strategist, and I love helping eye care professionals maximize profits with premium specialty patients through innovative marketing strategies. If you'd like advice growing your practice, book a strategic marketing session with me. Here's my little marketing and sales pitch here, Obi. I'm at the, you can see it on the banner, drsandieveleth.com, book Dr. Sandi. And again, I will be putting OB's links. Please reach out to him. He has an amazing program, and this must reach all continents, because you are at a level that far surpasses anything I've seen in the consulting realm. So I really appreciate all the information that you've shared with us, my friend. And we will absolutely see you around for sure. So here we go. Thanks again, Obi.
Thank you.